What's up, YouTube? I'm making this video in response to a discussion I've been having with a gentleman on here who calls himself David Matheny. Basically, our discussion was along the lines of homosexuality. Is it environmental learned behavior versus my position? Is it genetics that determines your sexuality? I take the position that it's your genetics that determine your sexuality, not it's not a learned behavior, or it's not something that you develop from being in your environmental surroundings. So I basically was trying to get him to understand that we as a people, as humans, have DNA. And DNA not only determines our hair color or our eye color or whether or not we're going to have freckles. DNA determines our emotional state, how we're going to feel about certain things, how we perceive things. It carries within it all of our emotions and our fears and our happiness. It could determine whether you're going to grow up to be a happy person or a sad person. It could determine whether you're going to be attracted to male or you're going to be attracted to females. And then I was also trying to say to him that when you're first conceived in the womb, you have no sexuality. Your sexuality is not determined till like after the 49th day. And then I didn't get into this part of it, but all throughout history, if you look at the ancient cultures, you will see that they reverent women, or that women were held under like a sacred status, because the life comes out of the womb of a woman. Man can't produce life, but life comes out of the womb of a woman. And there are even people that even go so far as to say at one time on this planet there were only women, and that men was actually, the creation of a man was actually a biological malfunction. But I'm not really going to get into that aspect. The basic thing I want to get into is that the dualism in nature, or the dualism in the university. But we're going to talk about the male and the female principle, whereas you can ask any psychologist or any scientist that everybody has a male and a female principle. Even our brains, we have a male and a female brain. So just as when people are born, there might be a biological mishap where, and I'm only using mishap or malfunction for lack of a better term, but you have people who are born with a blue eye and a black eye. I've seen a black person with a blue eye and a black eye. You can also have a male born, but genetically his DNA structure is that of a female, or you can have a female whose DNA structure is that of a male. Now, does that make it sinful, or does that make it a learned behavior? Sinful, I don't know. But as a learned behavior, if your DNA structure, if you're a male and your DNA structure is a woman, then that's something that you can't help. People just don't decide to wake up and say, you know what, I want to be gay. I saw this 50 Cent video, or I saw this hip hop video, or I saw this new age cartoon where, and psychologically and subliminally, it wants me to be gay. No, people are gay because they're born that way. Another point that I want to make is that if you take the position that the biblical story where Adam and Eve bit off the apple, so therefore mankind was condemned to sin, you have to look at that and understand that what that story is saying, or what God is saying, since um, since Adam sinned or Eve sinned, then sin was introduced into their DNA, and that followed sin followed all of Adam's offspring. So therefore, we're all sinners because Adam bit the apple. Now, how else would we be all sinners if sin was not in our DNA? So, if how can you blame a person for being homosexual if it's in his DNA? If you're going to take that position where that he can change, then you have to take the position that everybody in the world, because of Adam, are sinners, and that they can change. But see, I'm not taking that position. If sin is in our DNA, then how are we supposed to change if it's already ingrained or encoded in our DNA? Unless someone changed the structure of our DNA, then that's the only way we cannot be sinners. And that's the same way with the gay person. Unless somebody changes the structure in their DNA, then they won't. That's the only way they cannot be gay. Or like you, if you have freckles, you're always gonna have freckles, or your kids are gonna have freckles unless somebody changed the structure in your DNA.